Today, we're diving into an ancient philosophy that is, believe it or not, having a huge moment right now: Stoicism. You can think of it as a powerful operating system for your mind, one that was born from total catastrophe and then battle-tested by some of history's most incredible figures.
But let's start with a thought experiment. Seriously, just for a second, imagine you lost everything. Everything! Stranded thousands of miles from home, no money, no connections, nothing. How would you handle that? Would it be the end of the world? Or could it be the beginning of something completely new?
Well, that exact thing happened to a man named Zeno of Citium. And his answer to that question didn't just change his own life, it ended up changing the course of Western thought forever. So let's go back to around 300 BCE. Zeno is this super successful, wealthy merchant. Life is good. Then, disaster. His ship goes down and he washes ashore in Athens with literally nothing but the clothes on his back. But instead of falling into despair, he wanders into a local bookshop, picks up a book about Socrates, and has this massive epiphany. He didn't just try to get his old life back, he decided to build a whole new one, based on a whole new philosophy.
He started teaching his ideas right out in the open, on a public porch in Athens called the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, and that's where the name Stoicism comes from. And this is a really important point. The philosophy of Stoicism is way different from our modern idea of being stoic, with the lowercase s, someone who just bottles up their feelings. This is so much deeper than that.
See, at the very heart of Stoicism is this concept of the logos. The Stoics believed the universe wasn't just a bunch of random, chaotic stuff happening. They saw it as a rational, ordered place, all connected by a giant web of cause and effect. For them, everything happens for a reason, even the really tough stuff. Okay, so if the universe is rational, how are we supposed to live in it? Well, the Stoics weren't just about big ideas, they were practical. They developed a kind of toolkit, a set of core principles to help you navigate life with calm and with purpose.
And this brings us to what is probably the single most important idea in all of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. It's actually pretty simple. The Stoics said you should divide everything in your life into two columns. In column 1, put everything you have no control over: what other people think, the weather, your reputation, even your health to a large degree. Now in column 2, put what you do have total control over: your judgments, your reactions, your choices. The whole secret to a good life, they argued, is to stop wasting a single ounce of energy on column 1 and focus all of it on column 2. They would even practice this every morning, mentally picturing things that might go wrong during the day, not to be negative, but to rehearse how they would respond with reason and calm.
So how do you get good at mastering that second column? That's where the 4 cardinal virtues come in. First, practical wisdom, which is all about seeing situations clearly. Then, temperance, or self-control. Third is justice, treating others fairly. And finally, courage. And they didn't just mean courage in battle, but the courage to face the little challenges of every single day with integrity.
Now, this wasn't just some abstract theory for philosophers sitting on a porch. These principles became a real-world guide to life for some of the most powerful people on the planet, including one of Rome's greatest emperors.
The famous Roman Stoic Seneca wrote that sometimes even to live is an act of courage. It's such a powerful reminder that bravery isn't always about these huge, heroic acts. Sometimes just getting through the day without compromising who you are, that's the most courageous thing of all.
And it was exactly this kind of thinking that gave strength to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a man who was under almost unimaginable pressure.
I mean, think about it. During his 19 years as emperor, he was dealing with 2 major wars. On top of that, he had to endure the heartbreaking personal tragedy of losing several of his own children. And through it all, he kept a private journal, we know it today as Meditations, where he was constantly writing to himself, using these Stoic principles just to find the strength to keep going.
But it's so important to realize that this focus on yourself isn't selfish. For instance, at a time when Roman law treated slaves as property, Seneca was out there arguing for their humane treatment. He stressed that we all share a fundamental humanity. The whole idea is that by making yourself a better, more virtuous person, you're then able to bring about positive change for everyone around you.
And this brings us to the really incredible part of the story, the legacy of Stoicism. This philosophy didn't just die out with the Roman Empire. No, it has quietly continued to shape our world in some truly mind-blowing ways.
I mean, just think about this chain of events. You have the private, personal journals of a Roman emperor who lived almost 2,000 years ago.
And somehow, a copy of that journal finds its way into a prison cell, into the hands of Nelson Mandela, a political prisoner fighting apartheid in 20th century South Africa.
And those ancient words, from an emperor across the millennia, gave Mandela comfort and strength through 27 years in prison. He couldn't control being locked away, right? But he had absolute control over his mind and his response.
So when Mandela was finally freed, what did he do? He chose peace. He chose reconciliation, not revenge. He dealt with the world as it was, not as he wished it was, so he could build a better future. That right there is Stoicism in action on the world stage. And the connection to our world today gets even more direct. Epictetus, another famous Stoic who was himself born a slave, wrote this: "Suffering stems not from events in our lives, but from our judgments about them. It's not what happens to you that hurts you, it's what you tell yourself about what happened." That single insight, that is the bedrock of so much modern psychology. Therapies like rational emotive behavioral therapy, or REBT, are entirely focused on changing those self-defeating judgments. And Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, which he developed after surviving the Holocaust, is built on the Stoic idea that we have the power to find meaning in even the absolute worst of circumstances. So as you can see, Stoicism isn't just some dusty, ancient philosophy. It's a timeless, incredibly practical guide for living a better life, which really just leaves us with one final question. A question for you. What judgment about something in your life can you re-examine today?